ameriCARE Beach Cities is a personalized senior in-home service that lets folks live in the comfort of their own home. I want to welcome from ameriCARE Beach Cities, I want to welcome CEO Jonathan Brimley. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Michael.
So I gave a little intro there, but tell us a little bit about the whole company and what it does for folks and what it maybe doesn't do as well.
Sure. We are a full solutions provider, meaning we just don't do in-home care. People will call me and ask me questions. Sometimes I go and visit a home and we'll explain to them after we get talking about their issues or problems. Okay, well, here's what I can offer. Here's what I don't do, and here's what you really need. So it could be that they need hospice care. I've been with someone all night long until they passed away because that's what they really needed. They didn't need in-home care. We do offer in-home services as our primary line of business, but we're really here to be a solutions provider to those who are aging.
Now, the holidays recently, and a lot of times this is times where kids go and see their parents or maybe grandparents, and they don't visit them that often, and they say, "Oh man, I think mom or dad needs a little more help around the house." A lot of your clients come from relatives, say, "Hey, I want to get this service in for mom and dad"?
I would probably say about 80% of the time it's a call from a daughter, daughter-in-law, sometimes a son, who are they care about their mom or dad, or sometimes it's a grandchild, sometimes it's a friend, but it's usually a daughter or daughter-in-law calling and saying, "Hey, I noticed my mom needs some help," and we'll have a discussion. And okay, well, what's going on at home? And get to a point where, okay, yep, you do need in-home care, or no, she needs to do something different that I can't offer.
Okay. So for ameriCARE Beach Services, Beach Cities rather, when you guys go into the home, what are some of the things you assess? What are some of the things that you say, okay, these are the things that we know we can provide for you, or this isn't going to work, or something like that?
We'll probably start with, even before I get into the home, it's a conversation about what's going on and what are the preferences. If you do need, for example, if they are really looking for in-home care, do they have pets in the house? If they're looking for care, do they prefer a male or female caregiver? Because what happens is I just don't come into the home. I bring a potential caregiver with me. And I want to bring someone that potential primary caregiver could potentially work out. So I know my caregivers, I've interviewed them all, I've hired every single one of them. So I know if they're allergic to dairy or if they are allergic to cats or dogs. I'm not going to take them to a home that has a bunch of cats and dogs. It has to work both ways.
It's not just in care, it's not just somebody at the house, but are there also like doctor services, prescription services, things like that you guys can also provide in terms of helping seniors who maybe can't get out as much anymore or really can't make it to 3 or 4 doctor's appointments?
Sure, and it's what we call our chauffeur service, where we do transportation. And it could be to doctors, it could be to shopping, maybe it's going out to lunch with the friends, maybe to a movie. It's helping them get out of the house, could be go to the gym, but getting them out of their routine and getting back to their life that they used to have or they want to have.
Now, speaking of routines, recently a lot of people's routines got disrupted with the fires. And one of the things I would imagine is for seniors in senior facilities or people living at home, kids, relatives were very concerned about mom or dad. How are we going to get them out of there? People may be flying out to help them move, and the fact that they were more as mobile as other people who could evacuate on the spot. What are some of the concerns that would come up with something like that?
Well, the number one goal of our company is to keep people safe.
Right.
And that can be safe from falls, is what most people consider. Oh, well, my mom can't walk very well, or my dad's in a wheelchair and I can't lift him out, or I'm afraid about slipping in the bathtub or shower. So we keep them safe throughout the day while we're there. We can keep them safe by making sure they're doing their medication management properly. We can keep them safe by helping them do their exercises. We can keep them safe from scamming. We see a lot of elder abuse, and it's financial abuse, sometimes it's physical abuse, but having a caregiver in the home can keep them safe from all of these different aspects. We also, we mentioned the fires. we can help get someone out of the home in case of emergency. And you know, unfortunately, we've seen in these fires, there are some people who've passed away because they didn't get out of their house because they couldn't. Not because they wanted to stay and keep their house from burning. They physically could not get out of their home. It's a tragedy,
Right.
because they didn't have someone there who could help them.
Your service also provides some peace of mind, because like if I'm living in Arizona and mom's in a disaster area, I don't want to fly into a disaster area to try to get in there to get somebody out and take all that time. So there's a little bit of peace of mind knowing that somebody's there going to be able to take care of that person.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just on a call earlier this morning with some other ameriCARE owners, and they're talking about Hurricane Milton. And they had a caregiver come in to their home because the client wanted to stay in the house. They didn't want to leave during hurricane. A tree actually ended up falling on the house, breaking the house in two, basically, right in the middle of the living room. And that caregiver was there all night long with that person.
Wow.
And so next day, EMT comes, fire department comes, and they say, "Oh, you have this handled. We actually need to take care of others who are in a life-threatening situation. You are caring for this person. Great job. Keep on doing it." Fantastic. So that's the type of service that someone, if there's a caregiver in the house, they're going to stay there until the very end.
Now, people always say have that go bag ready, have an emergency stay-at-home kit kind of going on, and this is maybe something that caregivers can help with seniors do in terms of what some of the needs might be.
Right. So someone will have a lot of stuff in the house, but they may not have it all ready. And we've heard so many stories over the last week or two of these fires about people leaving their home, running away, and they are leaving with the shirt on their back, literally. They don't have a change of clothes. They don't have a change of underwear. They don't have a pillow or a blanket. Forget about important documents. They have nothing.
Right.
They weren't prepared.
Some of those stay-at-home kits would be a gallon of water. Make sure you have at least a gallon for every day you think you're going to be home. Food, 3-day supply. Prescription medication, 3-day supply ahead of time. A whistle, which would be important in case there's, again, people who aren't mobile have to just blow that whistle, let them know where they are in the house and things like that. Cell phone battery charge, battery-powered radio, things like that. And those are all things that you guys can help with the folks, the seniors, to help provide for them, right?
Well,
Make sure they have those. Make sure they have them in the house.
Right. We don't sell any of this.
Didn't mean to say it that way.
But we can help them gather it into a bag. In case, and whether a caregiver is in the house during an emergency or not, they are prepared. They have a bag they can roll or a backpack on their back. And when they leave, they have some things from home, whether it's some comfort items or important documents.
Right, so that would be the evacuation kit. Would be like 1 or 2 bottles of water, some breakfast bar, comfort foods, things like that would be some ideal things for them to have in terms of if it is go time, in terms of like, hey, the evacuation order is here and we need to get on the move.
Yes.
Yeah. And how important is that to communicate to a senior who sometimes folks, I don't want to leave my home, right? And some people can, and it's important to have that caregiver there to talk to them through that, like, hey, if this happens, we have to do this, and have that communication. Because I know some folks can be, oh, my mom or dad, they're so stubborn. They say they want to stay. They say they don't want to go anywhere.
Well, that's fantastic. And we don't want these emergencies to happen.
No, of course not.
Right. But I'm a former Boy Scout. I'm an Eagle Life Scout, Eagle Scout, and the motto of a Boy Scouts is be prepared. That's what this is about. Just be prepared. If emergency never happens, fantastic. But you have the peace of mind I talk about, that in case anything happens, and I have to evacuate, whether it be for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, I have the important documents, I have a change of clothes, I have emergency contact information, I have some medicine, I can go someplace if I absolutely have to, and feel like I just have lost absolute everything.
Right. And those documents are important. We're finding out from a lot of people who did lose their homes. They don't, in terms of their tax information, bank information, if there's a power of attorney that's needed, things like that are just things that, can be hard to replace or get if they don't have it in their hands. And medical information about prescriptions and dosages and copies of medical insurance and all of those things are great things to make sure you have in a go bag or one kind of area that we can just grab and go as well.
Right. And these aren't typically the original versions. They're
Right.
copies.
These are copies.
And we want to have those copies in hand in case we do end up evacuating.
Let me ask you this as we wrap up here. This is a business that takes a lot of care and a lot of empathy and a lot of understanding. What made you want to kind of go into this business? And what is it about you that says, this is the kind of service I want to provide?
Probably it's two reasons. And it's for my mom, who married to my dad for 58 years. He passed away. Now she's living alone. She's never lived alone in her life. And she needed care. She fell, she broke her leg, now she's in the hospital. So she needed care, and I couldn't, and I was the power of attorney, and I just couldn't find another an in-home care agency that could really fit the needs that she had. And so we ended up finding someone, not in a friend, to come and live with her, because we couldn't find an agency that fit the needs she had. So I wanted to fit those needs. The second reason is because of our caregivers. My prior career, I was an executive at IBM for 30 years. And what I enjoyed probably most is coaching our young people, those in their 20s and 30s, and helping them grow their careers and giving them advice. And all these caregivers are great people. They don't make a lot of money. So they need some help. And I'm here to help them. So it's just a two fit. Help people who need care in the home and help caregivers with their careers.
Well, that's why it's called ameriCARE. All right, from ameriCARE Beach Cities, I want to thank Jonathan Brimley, CEO and owner of the company. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Thank you. You're watching This Day. We'll be right back with Sports Corner.
As we get older, sometimes we need a little extra care. We can stay independent and in our own homes with the right care. Care to eat our favorite meal. Care to look our best. Care to stay active. Care to look after our pets. Find personalized in-home care at americarebeachcities.com.